Hello, today I want to do something slightly different. This video is not a comparison, not a shout out, and not a tutorial in the usual sense. This one is for you. I've been reading your comments and questions, and I thought it would be good to answer a few of them properly, because some of them deserve more than a quick reply under a video. And if you've watched more than a couple of videos on this channel, I hope you've noticed something. The videos are supposed to get better and better as you stay with them. This one is no exception. We'll start with the music, then I'll talk about the speakers I'm using, then we'll get into one of the bigger Nord questions. Do the same samples sound different on different Nord boards? And later, I will also talk about patches, sounds checks, and what we're building inside PIANORD Lab. The first question was, what songs are you playing? Because they're very nice. And thank you for the kind words. Let me ask you first. Did you recognize the introduction I played in this video? It uses a very common chord progression. 1, 6, 4, 5, if I'm using Nashville system. You will hear that progression in many songs, but the way I played it comes from the song No Greater by CeCe Winans. Most of the worship songs I've been using on this channel are connected to CeCe Winans' music. There is a reason for that. Yes, of course, she's an amazing singer. Yes, she's so incredibly competent. Yes, she's a great musician and the arrangements are beautiful. But that is not the main reason I love her music. The main reason is her character. There is something very rare and beautiful when what you see on stage seems to align with how someone carries themselves off stage. That is what inspires me about CeCe Winans, and there is authenticity there. What you see and what you hear seem to belong to the same person, and for me that matters. I think I've bought most of her albums from the last 10 years or so, not just because the songs are strong musically, but because there is a maturity in the message. A lot of the contemporary worship music speaks about the attributes of God that are easy for us to receive. His goodness, His forgiveness, His grace, His kindness. All of that is true and is beautiful. But CeCe's music also brings in the weightier attributes, God's and the divine's holiness, the divine's faithfulness, God's righteousness, justice, reverence, surrender. Those themes require a response from us. They're not only comforting, they are formative. And I think that's why her songs resonate with me so much. Every year my family asks me what I want for my birthday. And at this stage in my life, I honestly don't need anything. And I'm not really impressed by things anymore. What I care more about now is different. It's family, relationships, helping people, encouraging, uplifting, and inspiring people. Doing something useful for people who may be less fortunate. And this is what actually energizes me. And also using music in a way that honors the divine and hopefully brings something meaningful to the idea of worship. This year my family said, we know what you would like for your birthday. CeCe Winans is coming to this side of the pond for the big church festival. And guess what? They thought about getting me tickets for their weekend. It's the end of this month. And honestly, that was a very thoughtful idea when I received it. However, that weekend I'm already music directing in the local church, in the local charity, and it's not straightforward to accommodate. I told them something else. I said, if at some point God makes it possible for me to play piano with CeCe Winans in one of her concerts, wherever that may be, that would genuinely make me smile and happy. So if anyone watching this knows CeCe Winans or knows her manager, I would not complain if you shared this video with them or introduced me to them. I'm putting that out there very gently, no pressure, but I wouldn't turn that down. Now, let me play a short section from one of her more recent songs. It's called More Than This. I'll give you more than this. And it's featuring Todd Dulaney as well. I love the bridge because of how it builds musically and also because of the message. I won't turn this into a full performance, but I'll play a short piece of the bridge so you can hear why it connects with me. That's the kind of musical and spiritual maturity I'm talking about. It's not just a nice progression, it carries weight, and the message is equally important. The next question was, what speakers are you using? I'll answer that clearly, but I will also want to be very careful. The speakers I'm using here are the Edifier R1280DB. They are powered bookshelf speakers. They have Bluetooth, they have optical inputs, they have dual RCA line inputs as well. They're active, so you don't need a separate amplifier. And that is exactly why I bought them. Convenience. This room where I'm doing the recordings was originally meant to be a living space as well as a music room. So I wanted something simple, tidy, black, compact with very few cables. I wanted speakers that could connect easily to a phone, laptop, or whatever device and still be good enough for casual playing and listening. For that job, they are probably the best value you can get at around £120 level in terms of price. They're still probably one of the better value options. But here's the honest part. I would not recommend them as the main speakers for judging the sound of your Nord board, or for designing patches, or for serious recording decisions. They are good enough for practice, they are good enough for convenience, but they're not what I would call inspiring for a $5,000 or $6,000 keyboard. And when you use the line inputs, the sound is okay, it's not that crystal clear. So if you are asking me, what are you using? The answer is Edifier R1280DB. If you're asking me, what should I buy to really hear my note properly? That is a different question. If money and space were not the limiting factors for me, I would look at the proper studio monitors with a flatter response. The response for this question is simple. If you are building sounds, adjusting EQ, comparing piano samples or recording, you want to hear something close to what the keyboard is really producing. A speaker that flatters the sound can be enjoyable, but it can also mislead you. You may think a piano is warm, but it's just the speaker adding warmth. You may think a patch cuts through, but in another system it may disappear. So that is why studio monitors exist. Something like the Yamaha HS series is a common example of that idea, a more neutral reference style monitor. The problem for me was the price. A proper studio monitor setup will usually cost several times more than the edifiers. So I bought the edifiers for convenience, not because they are the perfect Nord speakers. And I wanted to be honest about that. When you spend money on a Nord Stage 4 or a Nord piano, it makes sense to eventually match it with speakers or monitors that let you actually hear what you paid for. Because this question keeps coming up, I'm putting together a simple PIANORD soundcheck starter sheet. I will help you test your Nord sound at home before you trust it live or in a recording. It's not complicated. Just a few practical checks: speakers, headphones, solo sound, in-mix sound, and what not to overtrust. The link for you to get that is in the video description. The next question was, do you hear a difference between the Nord Stage 4 and the Nord Piano 5 when using the same samples, especially the grand pianos? Let me focus on the grand pianos. My answer is yes, but the difference is very small. You can hear it more in a recording than in a live band settings. In a band, there's so many variables: the PA, the room, the player, the EQ, the monitoring, the volume, the bass, the guitar, the drums, and the way the sound engineer places the piano in the mix. In that context, I don't think most listeners will hear a meaningful difference between the same sample played on Nord Stage 4 and Nord Piano 5. But when you're playing solo or recording piano alone, you may sense subtle differences. The Stage 4 has the edge for me because once effects come into play, the effects section gives you more control and the overall presentation can feel more polished. But I want to be careful not to exaggerate this. It's not a night and day difference. It is a small difference. That matters more in detailed listening than in a live band. I also noticed a difference between Nord Piano 3 and Nord Piano 5. To my ears, the Piano 5 sounds a bit richer with the same type of sample. Again, it is not something the average person in a church or gig will necessarily identify. But as a player, and especially in a recording, you may feel it. I also want to share something one of you sent me. This came from Cliff. Cliff, if you're watching this, thank you. I really appreciate your contributions. He said he loaded an XL extra large white grant into both his Electro 5D and Nord Stage 4 to compare the output quality. He said that through headphones they sounded pretty much the same, but through speakers the Stage 4 sounded warmer, better and more authentic. His conclusion was that the output preamps and related circuits must be more advanced on the Stage 4, which is what you would hope in a higher priced board. I thought that was a very useful observation because it reminds us that the sample is not the entire sound. The output stage, the effects, the monitoring, and the way the board handles the signal all matter. So thank you, Cliff. That kind of comment is exactly why I enjoy building this community for. Another question I keep getting is, are you sharing your patches? Yes, I will add the Sunday Ready patch link in the description of this video, but please do watch the Sunday Ready video first, because I want you to understand the context and how to use it. Patches are useful, but they are not magic. A link to that video should come in the right corner. A patch only really helps when you understand what it is built for. Is it for solo playing? Is it for worship mix? Is it for dance band? Is it for quiet moment? Is it built to cut through or to support? Those things matter. So yes, I will share it, but I want you to use it intelligently. And this is also where PIANORD Lab comes in. If you like this video, if you like the way I answered your questions, and if you like the patches and practical workflows, you will most likely like what we do inside PIANORD Lab community. That is where we can go deeper. We can look at sound checks, gain staging, monitoring, IEMs, patches, song setups, and specific questions from members. And the most important thing is this: we can do it live with the live clinics. The idea is that once a month inside PIANORD Lab, we have live clinics where I can answer questions properly with context. Because sometimes a comment is not enough. Sometimes I need to know what board you have, what speakers you're using, whether you're playing at home or live, what is your setting, what your band setup is, and what problems you are actually trying to solve. That is the value of doing live. So if you like this format today, please check PIANORD Lab. All the links are in the description of the video or the pinned comment. Take your time. There are images and details there explaining what you get and whether is the right fit for you. One more question I want to mention before we finish is about sound checks, gain staging, monitoring, and IEMs. One of you said that they were still waiting for a video on that. I think you're right. That topic deserves its own video and probably deserves more than even a video, because the way you hear yourself changes how you play. It influences the way you play. If your monitoring is too loud, you overplay. If your monitoring is too quiet, you force the sound. If the bass is too heavy, your piano feels muddy. If the top end is too sharp, too bright, brittle, you start fighting the board. And if your in-ears are not giving you the right information, your whole performance can feel uncomfortable. So yes, we will cover that, and that is also a perfect live clinic topic for PIANORD Lab. So take your time and consider if you want to join. Those are the questions I wanted to answer today. What songs am I playing? What speakers am I using? Do note samples sound different across boards? Am I sharing patches? And we'll talk about sound checks and monitoring. Yes, we will. And I hope this video gives you a little picture of what I'm trying to build with PIANORD. Not just reviews, obviously, not just demos, which are good and welcome, and I see you people are very interested, in particular in the comparison videos. Not just quick opinions, something more useful. A place where serious piano and note players can ask better questions and get practical answers and slowly build a setup they can trust. If you like this format, let me know in the comments. Ask your next questions there. Tell me what you want me to cover next. And if you want to go deeper, check the PIANORD Lab link in the description of the video. There you have it. Your questions answered. Hope you enjoyed watching the videos I put together as much.